What's up, brother?
What's good, man?
Not too much, man. Just wanted to, that sounds stupid as a motherfucker. That ain't adding up. So, this is the first Tune the Fork episode.
Yep. 001.
001.
Yes, sir. What's the name of this joint? What you call it?
Yeah, we're gonna call this the process is the product.
Process is a product.
Yeah.
That's heavy, man.
It is, and when you think about the amount of time that we've spent, kind of guess, building up to this moment, and pretty much bullshitting, for the lack of a better, term, but just making the decision to just move forward with something, understanding that wherever it is that we end up, it's going to be a work in progress, which is the whole essence of the process is the product.
But here's the thing, man. And you're right. But the thing that struck me about that, dog, is when I thought about it, like when we decided to do it, right? It was done. Like that process, if you're saying the process is the product, and vice versa, I guess it's true, the product is the process. Once you make a step towards it, it's already done.
Yeah.
You're just continuing on from moment to moment, refining it. It's already done, dog. It's like you're discovering it as you go. But it's there. It's just a matter of finding where it is.
And it's almost like, so as you were saying that, in my mind, I'm imagining a relay race. And so you've got this goal or this person who you need to pass the baton to,
right.
But that future place has already been created.
Exactly.
But what I think scares people or keeps them from even starting the process is where in the path they're focused on.
Right.
And so, if you're focused on the end goal, and this is some shit I ain't never done before.
Right.
I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
I'm more than likely gonna fail.
It's
and
hard.
So let me just go ahead and not do it.
Right.
Not understanding that failure itself is a part of the process.
Thus, a part of the product.
Yes.
Like every time you fall short, that's part of what you're creating. I think, man, and this is what I thought of it too, man, when you said it. There's a lot of texts, a lot of books out there about, for lack of a better word, spirituality, but on a cosmic level, on a larger than, our just day-to-day level. And I think, man, that time is a concept that we are so afraid of and cling to so much, in terms of either it's too much to do, which means it takes too much time, or that you feel like because you're doing this busy work that you don't have time. But all you're really doing is on a hamster wheel doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So, but when you say that, once I decide to do it, it's done. I'm just continuing to use my tools to get to what's already completed, what's already done. Like you said, the relay race, the guy's already there.
Yeah.
All you have to do is put one foot in the next foot and the next foot. You're not gonna teleport there. You're gonna take the required process. You might fall, but you get up and you keep moving. That's all part of it.
And I was having a conversation with Terrell, tall black guy. What's up, brother?
Shout out T.
Much love. And I was going over all the shit that we've been doing, all the, Saturdays we've been buying all of this shit, putting it together,
right.
Being extremely slight, but getting it right. Like it's be slight till you get it right. And then, and then I was telling him, I was talking and it was like, man, look, we want to hurry up and fail. We want to get to the points in the process that are extremely uncomfortable, that present the most unknowns, so that we can learn in those spaces. And you almost have to embrace that piece of it more than anything else, as if the end result doesn't matter.
That's right.
Like, so whatever Tune the Fork, and we'll, I guess, get back to, like how this even came about, know, but what it ultimately ends up isn't nearly as impactful as the effort, the energy, and the love that put into making it that.
That's right.
And a lot of times when we sit back and we look at anything, when we evaluate anything, when we evaluate a product, a brand, a relationship, it's the thing that we're evaluating, and not necessarily the process that people actually went through to create that thing. And so, there is no failure in that sense. It's just different paths that you take to solving a problem.
Right.
Or to, to achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve.
Right. And in this life, man, we're taught early, and this goes back when we talked about a little earlier. You're taught earlier to be a consumer. So everything is, you don't value the process something had to go through in order for you to receive it as it was. Yeah. Like when you immediately see strawberries in the store, you don't see them grow. You don't see, you know what I'm saying?
All the motherfuckers who picked them. And
so you don't have an appreciation for them because you don't do, and if, like, let's say you grew whatever, tomatoes, anything, then you would have an appreciation for how strawberries are made and how everything is a process. Nothing is an immediate gratification to you. But because we live in a world that you walk into a store and you immediately pick up this and you don't, and you don't have you don't apply that in your own existence. You think that everything that you do, or people think that everything that they do is supposed to have this immediate impact. If it's not immediate, then you're not trying to do it.
And it's something you really, motherfuckers who grow tomatoes know how hard it is to grow shit. So it don't matter what you grow. Exactly. I respect you because you growing that shit. Exactly. You could be growing weed. You could be growing sugar cane. Right. No matter what it is, I know it's an endeavor and it's an effort. And And that's why a lot of times when I sit back and I have such strong opinions about people, especially in fields that I have a limited understanding of, I have to remind myself of that because like I don't know what it took to get there. Even if what I'm judging is perceived to be slight. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck you went through to get to that point.
And you don't know where they are.
Right.
They could be in their slight phase to get to all of that slightness might turn a corner for them. And without it, they wouldn't be able to reach that point.
And that's why the process is the product. That's we have to start seeing people as processes.
That's right.
Because when we meet people, we'll say, we'll interact with them and as if they are finished. Yeah. Like, okay, motherfucker, you're a Republican? Boom. Yeah. You're a piece of shit. Yep. Next. Yeah. Let me go find me a Democrat. Yeah. Or boom, you white, or boom, you from DC or New York or where, no matter whatever it is, we're putting that person into a box and labeling them something as if they're done. Yeah. And then it's so far off from the proper way. Exactly. And we will do that with people. We will do that with ideas. Yep. We'll do that with relationships.
Do that with ourselves.
To ourselves. Right. Like, and sometimes you got to cut yourself some slack. It's like, look, man, I fucked up. Yeah. How honest am I being about that? Have I acknowledged any harm I've done to other people? Right. And am I doing the best that I can to make sure that I don't repeat that? Right. And then am I surrounded by people who appreciate the path, understand, and help me make less mistakes? Yeah. And so if you have all of those things, then boom, great. It's the process, and no matter what you land on, it's gonna be dope because you're dope.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what somebody calls your shit.
Right. And the process is, man, we're gonna get into how we got to this point. But the process is the highs and the lows. Like, that's all, like we just talked about. Like, when you grow things, there's a certain appreciation of the highs and the lows, the level of patience, the level of in this moment. Like, this moment this thing needs this in this moment. I don't know what's going to happen to it a month from now, whatever. But in this moment, I need to make sure that it's watered. I need to make sure that I'm, pruning. I need to make sure all of these things and that's part of the process. So you can't look at the finished strawberry from the seed. You got to understand that it's and each one of those things ends up being the strawberry. Even if it's a drought and something happens, you need to do whatever. All of that is part, and that's people. Yeah. People are that same process, man.
And just to kind of take a step back a bit, I think it was great to, kind of get kicked off to that. But
yeah.
This is Tune the Fork.
Show.
I am James.
Yep.
This is life.
Yep.
We are brothers in spirit, brothers connected by love, music, positivity, growth, and just community, and just all the things you can imagine when you close your eyes and think about, just two men just trying to be better from one day to the next and support one another.
And being slight.
Yeah, which is a part of it, because you need it, man. You need it. And so for years, we have been talking about this idea of doing a podcast because there's a lot that we talk about, that we share, that we help each other through, that we felt could be shared, that could help someone else. And not necessarily saying that we're coming with the answers for everybody, but there are men, strong men, committed men, fathers, friends, brothers, uncles, cousins, community members who are asking very deep questions to try to solve problems in their life to be of better service to, themselves and the people around them. And so the whole purpose of Tune the Fork from my mind is to have a space where we are increasing our vibration, tuning our personal forks so that we can see the truth that exists around us in, whatever way. And that's probably, I need to come up with a better way to describe what that is. But I know that I wanted this space to be something that I use to heal and to help other people heal and to ask questions that I ask, and then to get your feedback and so forth. So what about you, man?
Yeah, man, I feel you on that. That's all clean. I would add to that, in as you said, man, we've been a part of conversations that were, in so many different directions, man, given so many just being able to hear insights that make you think about whatever your position is or wherever you stand on a subject and issue in a way that, in a way that's productive.
Yeah.
That I think is valuable, and I think that it's undervalued in the world that we live in, because everybody wants to talk, but nobody wants to receive. And I think it's critical for men, black men, people, but in our case, black men specifically, to be able to receive and be understood and understand. And part of that vibration, part of those tunes, is also when we're being less than what we want to be. That's cool too. I mean, Nobody knocks it out the park every time they come up to bat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta be willing to be whatever you are right now in the hopes that you're gonna be better.
Yeah.
Hope that's your goal, that you're trying to be better. But sometimes you're not. I mean, you know, sometimes, like I said, you're not gonna shoot 100%. You ain't gonna go 50 for 50 from the three. Sometimes you go 0 for 10.
Right.
And that's cool. That's like we just said, part of the process. So, you know, but I think everything else, man, you hit right on the head, man. Just trying to create spaces where insights, where we can share insights, share opinions, have conversations, have some laughs.
Yeah.
And share some understanding, man. Because I know there's a lot of dudes out there, a lot of people who feel like we feel about a lot of things.
And we also talk a lot about, I talk a lot about fear.
Yeah.
And how that dominates so much of my life. And the simple fact that TuneTheFork even exists means that I'm kind of like, you know, stepping out of my comfort zone to actually do something that I hadn't done before. Because, you know, some of my biggest fears are being misunderstood, not being heard, and just, you know, all of that. Yeah. And a part of the process being the product means that for me, I'm humbly asking that there'll be a lot of thoughts, there'll be a lot of ideas, there'll be a lot of conversations that we will have that may sound as if we've landed somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
Strongly. But to generously offer some concessions and room for us to navigate through these different spaces. Because if I say some shit that is just that triggers you or is off or you feel is wrong or something, just sit with it. And you know, we're not saying anything other than we're trying to figure things out.
And by no means do we have I know I speak for me, and I'm pretty sure I speak for you too. We're not coming from a place where we got the answers, where we stand in a place of, you know, of all knowing. We just kick it. We just chopping it up.
Just kicking it.
You know what I'm saying? We just chopping it and seeing what's there. You know, sometimes we land, you know, wherever we land, man. But and I'm never, ever saying that, you know, that whatever opinion I have is the only opinion. Yeah. It's all part of the process. And that, I read a book, man, on a tangent, that talked about Khruangbin. I think that's the name of it. I might have got it wrong. That's a perfect example.
For what?
For the book, I think it's Khruangbin.
Oh, that's the name of the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Anyway, it just talks about principles of, you know, a lot of principles in terms of high vibrations getting, like these sort of universal concepts and principles that exist. And one of them was that, and I paraphrase, I'm gonna get the book right, man. As big as it is, you know, those same concepts that apply to huge things apply to every small piece of that thing. Such as an atom is neutrons, electrons spinning around something. And the sun is a huge representation of that same sort of dynamic. So in that, what you just said, I said all that to say, when you just talked about, you know, the process, it's a process for this, the bigger thing, but it's also a process for us individually as we, you know, as we navigate through it. It's all sort of it's all moving pieces that move harmoniously towards something.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, dude, it feels extremely comforting for me to just know that all of those things that you described, the sun, the electrons, like all of those things are right and exact in what they are.
Exactly.
And they're not trying to be anything else.
Exactly.
And they play a very specific part in that process.
Yep.
And they matter because they exist.
Yep.
And
That's
so
right. That's right.
I've spent a lot of my life existing in the shadows in certain ways and in not being the proton or the sun that I know that, well, I'm not going to say that I know. I may have had some idea, but again, it was that fear shit, bro, that constantly kept me from really seeing the light in myself. And
That's
so
peace.
Knowing who you are in that process and then being willing to share that, especially in a world now where a motherfucker will go off on you or, bastardize you or, ridicule you, troll you or whatever for anything, just for the sake of doing it. There's something about overcoming your fears and living your truth and allowing the universe to bring forth what has always been there for you to receive.
Right.
You just had to get out of fear's way.
Yep.
And fear is a motherfucker. It will constrict, restrict, it will block. I mean, it will do everything that any force will do to impede movement.
Right. And the deep part about fear is that we feed it. Like we nourish it.
Yeah.
We embrace it. The very thing that keeps us from moving in any direction, we embrace that fear. I was talking to somebody about this, man, how we speak to ourselves in the language of fear. Like the thing that we tell ourselves is based in fear. Like the ego, speaks a language of fear to us, what we can't do. And even fear is anger. Fear is responding in anger. Fear is responding in all those things are fear-based.
Yeah.
So when we respond in an angry way, when we attack, when we go through all of this, that's all based on the fear and the thing that we tell ourselves. And every time we do, we feed it, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And fear, that's fucking dope because it's hard to fear a process.
Right.
It's
right.
Because like everything is a process.
Everything.
And so it's hard to fear that, but
right.
it's easier to fear the outcome. Like you might die.
Right.
That's a big fucking thing.
Right.
So you should probably look out for it.
Right.
But you're focusing on that as much as you are the fact that, oh man, but I might skydive and actually enjoy this shit.
Right.
And have a good time. But yeah, I might die. Or
right.
Let me quit my job. You need money. You might get evicted.
Yep. Yep.
And so the ego has to force you to focus on, at least in my mind, I'm not even saying, I just thought of this shit as you said it. So again, process. But if you're focusing on the process, it has to focus on the outcome. And I think that's why it's so hard for us I think that's why it's so easy, rather. Right. I think it's why it's so easy for us to focus on the end result.
Yeah.
Because even fear, as a creative, we're creating something and we're saying, I'm doing this mix or whatever to put up, or, I'm worried about how other people are going to receive it when I'm really fucking enjoying the process of putting this together.
Right.
But I will let the fear of what other people are going to think make me think that what I did wasn't sufficient.
Right.
And the universe is sitting there like, motherfucker, I just told you to do this.
Right. It's there for you.
I gave you that thought. I gave you that idea. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to think you're not going to take my word for that?
Right. And I put 15 people in your path that told you to do it. I've blessed you multiple times with things and people and examples and in the smallest ways and the largest ways to show you that this is the path that you should be on. But you're listening to something that you've created in your brain that don't exist. And B, that's based on all of the things that have happened to you before. You carry that from thing to thing. And it grows, and that fear grows, and that voice, you speak to yourself in a voice of failure even before you even try. Even though, like I said, you've been multiple times, multiple occasions, multiple different things, random acts and random events tell you that this is where you're supposed to go and this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you still freeze because of something that you create. I think about this all the time, dog. We exist. I saw this, I don't know who said this. The guy, Gary, I forgot his name. White guy that had the wine thing and he got rich. Gary V. Anyway.
Oh, Gary V?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that in order for you to be born a human being, out of all the living things that exist on this planet, the chances are, I mean, there are billions of insects. There are billions of other animals. There not to mention, we ain't even go to bacteria and all that, right? We're going to not even do that. We talking about animals, living things. For you to be born human, the chances are so minuscule that you are beyond lucky to be born a human being, right? And then for you to be born a human being that's not in a situation, because most of the world is living in a certain way. Right? Struggling.
Fucked all up.
So you're born with the opportunities that you have, and you've made it through all the time that you should have died, could have died, whatever. Should have been hit by, and we ain't talking like violence. We're talking about hit by a car or fell off of this or whatever. Now you're here, but you still don't believe that the universe has something for you. Like, you're here for a reason. And you tell yourself that you're not based on something that you created, and you will never get to where you should be.
It's like when you hear, I don't know what the old adage is, but it's like when a student is ready to learn, a teacher will appear.
Yep.
Like when you've got these
that's in a book too.
Thoughts and fears.
Yeah.
You see everything as an obstacle.
That's right.
But when you remove the fear, you see everything as an opportunity.
That is right.
So it's like, bro, you could be sitting in a house with, let's say you want to write a book about fishing, right? Mm-hmm. And you could, unbeknownst to you, you could be 45 years old.
Right.
You've been acquiring all the shit a motherfucker needs to write a book about fishing, and you won't even see it.
Right.
You won't see the fact that your two best friends have their own book publishing company.
Yep.
Another one owns a fucking tackle shop. Yep. Another one has a fishology degree. And somebody else is like has like a master's in like professional writing or something. And you'll get your punk ass up every single day and go to work at Home Depot asking people if they want paper or plastic. But the minute you say, oh man, fuck this shit, and you focus on writing a fish book.
Right.
All of these things that have always existed in your life will begin to appear. They rearrange.
That's right.
They do everything necessary in order for you to get what it is that you want. But you had to remove the fear first. Yep. Because all you saw were obstacles. Yep. And there really isn't much difference between an obstacle and an opportunity.
Absolutely.
It's just the perspective on how you're looking at it. So going back to the process thing, and it's why it's hard not to judge too, because even the fear caused you to acquire the relationships and the connections between those things. Which also when I did the ayahuasca, bro, it let me know that the universe is conspiring to give me everything
that is right.
I have ever wanted.
It's waiting.
And it is me that is in my way.
It's waiting.
It's me.
Yeah.
And so, and when I say me, it's really fear.
Yep. Yeah. And that's not you.
And that's not me.
That's the voice you created.
It's not
That's
me.
not you.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And that's deep, man, because you said that's part of the process. Because I run across people all the time that say, oh, man, I want to write a book. Or I'm thinking about, doing this. And I ask, sometimes I'm having a conversation with people that work at whatever, you know what I'm saying? I ask, well, what would you do? And they'd be, oh, man, I'll write a book, or I'll open a bar. And my answer is always, well, why don't you?
Yeah.
And hey, and classic,
Same shit. Same shit.
Oh, man, I got kids. I can't be, I got to do. And I said, man, when you're ready to do it, it's waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, and I've had people do that to me. And sometimes that sticks. And, they might go 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. And that thing starts to root around in their brain. And they accompany with all the other things, all the other signs that the universe is giving you. And they finally say, man, fuck it. I'm great to do it. But that seed that you laid, that's why you should never be like, oh, man, don't worry about that, man. Just go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Plant a seed in someone. Put a little bit of light in someone, because you never know. They might be like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then they come to you, 4 or 5 years down the line and be like, man, I went ahead and do, and that's and when you, and I also saw something, man, that said there are people who bring light wherever they go and leave a little bit when they leave.
Yeah. So
that little bit of light for someone else, man, that's part of their process.
Yeah.
That's part of you acting as a way the universe acts to help them move forward in their process.
And it goes back to the kid. It ties into the kid shit. And when we think about the idea, I remember reading. I used to be heavy in the church, bro. And I remember a Bible study one day, and I can't remember where in the Bible it was, but they were talking about the idea of planting seeds,
right?
And how basically people got it all fucked up,
right?
Like, and how we're not. When you think of a farmer really doesn't make anything grow.
Nope.
All it does is create the conditions.
That is right.
For something to grow.
That is right.
So that motherfucker don't go inside the molecular structure of a seed and make it do nothing.
Right.
Oh, that's some shit that we ain't got no skills in yet.
Right.
So it plants it. The soil is fertile. It may water it. It may do some other things. But the seed has to be planted first.
Right.
And so the Bible study was talking about how humans really, your job is to plant seeds.
That's right.
You can't make anything grow.
That's right.
So we can't make our kids want to be something more than what they want to be, or something different.
Yeah.
But we can plant seeds with love.
Yeah.
Because seeds should be planted with love. Like, I could plant a seed with a motherfucker, but that motherfucker might not be love.
Right.
So you might want to use another tone in order to make sure that the soil is fertile to receive the seed.
Right.
But the seed has been planted. It's up to the person to determine what to do with it. And sometimes, or the child, or the friend.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a year. Yeah. Sometimes that's 10 years.
That's right.
But all you got to do, just plant the seed.
That's it.
Just plant it.
And I've heard that same sort of analogies in the Bible. There's a lot of those in that text. But it said that everything that a tree or a tomato plant or a strawberry bush, whatever the hell strawberry is growing, is in that seed. Everything. There's no external thing that exists that makes that seed into a tomato. It's all there.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, all you need to do is create an environment, and like you just said, for that seed to do what it does. It's already there. There's nothing that it needs other than an environment that will help it grow into whatever it's supposed to be.
You know what came to my mind when you said that, when you were talking about it? It's truth. The seed is truth.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was watching this video the other day and they were talking about vibrations and frequencies.
Yeah.
And about how different frequencies vibrate at different rates.
Yep. And
the thing that vibrates the highest is truth. Yeah. And they were saying that nothing can, and when you think about vibration, it's just sort of, I guess, essentially an oscillation between 2 points.
Right.
But it has to be 2 points. Right. Like a wave is just, a motherfucker's just going out.
Right.
So they were saying that nothing can align, no vibration can align with a frequency that's higher than itself. It can lower itself to align, but it can't elevate itself to align. So the purpose of an individual is to elevate their vibration so that they are able to continue to reach the highest. But they were saying, and I missed the point, the thing that vibrates the highest is truth.
Right.
And so the truth can come down, but so when you're planting these seeds of truth, the person that you're planting that seed in might not be at the vibration level to recognize it at that moment. They still got some more work to do.
Right.
They still got some more shit that they need to fumble through. So we, as being individuals, we'll get emotionally attached to the outcome. We'll think that because we didn't see that seed grow, that our seeds are being planted in vain and all of that. But that's ego. Yeah. Like, that's not what we're supposed to do. Yeah. Like, you might not see your seeds grow there. You might see, it's like when you date somebody and going through the process. Yeah. You ended your relationship with somebody because you were at a point in your process that didn't match with theirs. Right. But that interaction helped each other grow. Right. So you in that relationship, and then you meet somebody else and you're growing in that relationship, but the person who you're meeting went through a growth process in their previous relationship that now you're reaping the benefits from the seeds that the other person planted because they're able to elevate and receive what you have to give, and vice versa. Yeah. So a lot of the seeds that we're planting, we're not seeing, but and also a lot of the seeds that we're reaping the benefits from, we didn't plant.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, that's deep.
So you just got to take the shit as just, my function is just to plant seeds of truth. Yep. And then be ready for the ride, the process ride, because you gon' get on it and you gon' go up and down, and that's the thing. You don't get to not participate in the process. Right. Because everything is a process. Yep. When you get up and you get ready for work, that's a process. Yep. When you make a meal, that is a process. Yep. Yeah. And so, this podcast is a process.
Oh, yep. Absolutely.
It will continue to develop and grow. I think we're going to be having guests at some point. Yep. We got a lot of things that we're thinking about in terms of, different avenues to share, to connect, to just, with like-minded people. Yeah. And so I'm excited, man, that this is our first one of many to come. Is going to be, weekly, I guess, right? Yep. Gonna do it on weekly basis, and just looking forward, man, to just being uncomfortable, being, of service, man. Yeah. And because I know all of it's gonna come, and you gotta take it all. But whatever it is, it's gonna be. But that can't keep us from the work that we have to do.
Yeah. And being, like I said, trying to be a light, trying to be a voice that's relatable and recognizable, something that you see in yourself, some things, you know, that you recognize from things you've experienced, and just being able to add light to like I said, to leave light from where you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's critical for us, man. To be able to say that you've contributed to something in a positive way.
Yeah.
Contributed to this universe in a positive way, or at least tried.
Yeah. What music you been listening to?
Oh man, that's a good question, man. 2020 been rough on music, man. But you know, man, I ain't been one since I stopped. Since, you know, the sort of shutdown happened, we not playing music out anymore. Cause I ain't been one to listen to new music. Like, I'll consume it, like, you know, the Jay Electronicas, Busta Rhymes, the dope album. But I still always go back to
the old
Stevie's
shit.
And the, you know, and the Kashif. I was on that for a long time. Alicia Myers, I just realized, got joints. Like,
I ain't been in her joint. I ain't been in her box, have you? Pause.
She got joints that I didn't even know, like, you know, monsters. But new music, man, I don't know. What about you?
So I don't know if it's necessarily been new, man, but it's just been I don't know if it's new music, but Skinshape is a group I've been listening to. I don't know if it's a dude, a group, or whatever.
Skinshape?
Skinshape, yeah, shape.
Okay.
Sault, Sault. I've been listening to them for a while.
Yeah.
Khruangbin, been listening to them heavy. And just a lot of jazz, dude.
Yeah, man.
A lot of jazz. And it's crazy because I've been, you know, like trying to do like some DJ mixes with jazz. Right. That shit hard as hell. I mean, you know, because ain't nothing on time. Right. You know, one dude's high on heroin. Another one is high on weed. Oh, man. And, you know, they ain't keeping up everything. There ain't no metronomes. I mean, you know.
No structure to it.
Ain't no computers, bro. Like,
ain't no openings.
It's loose. So it's very difficult, but it's something I've been really spending a lot of time listening to. But yeah, man, I want to try to figure out some way to add like music or like what we've been listening to, and you know, because like music, and that's another thing too. Like every relationship that I have that is solid has been born out of music. Right. Like it was the connection of that spawned our friendship. Even though I heard about you 20 years ago. Right. Like. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it was the music stuff, man. Yeah. And the fact that we've developed such a strong group of creatives. Yeah. I think it's we're gonna have to find some way. I don't know what that is gonna look like. Yeah. But and just sharing that and talking about like what we've been listening to and what we like and stuff like that, adding that in.
And it's deep, man, that we're all different. And we're more similar than we are different. Yeah. But our tastes vary. Mm-hmm. But we have some foundational things that make us all very similar. Yeah. And I think that's where the connection is. The DJ thing, that's a whole nother conversation too, man. But and I think I appreciate that you know. We're all sort of vibrating in the same area, even though, and that's the other thing, man, you could be varying on things, but you will always find that you got more in common than you do separating. But
yeah, and that's why through this process, long term, that is my goal.
For sure.
I want us to remember the reality, which is we're one, man.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
That's
and regardless of what your race is,
that's right.
What your gender is,
that's right.
What your sexual orientation is,
that's right.
That the fact that we're human beings, the fact that we exist means that we are one.
Yeah, and our similarities outweigh our differences so much that, you know, that it shouldn't even matter. But there are those differences, it feels like, make the world go round. It adds a level of controllability. It's profitable to create differences in people.
Dude,
it's profitable, and it's a way to separate. When you separate people, then you can control them because you're controlling small groups. And you say this group is against this group, is against this group, is against this group, and watch them sort of fight each other, and then you just profit from all of that.
I was driving down the street the other day, and I think I might have been coming from your house, and 2 words came to my mind: divisive incentives.
That's right. That's right.
And everything of value is incentivized to create divisiveness.
That is right.
Media, like all of it has to be able to break you down into a box and then get you so emotionally attached to that box and what that box represents that you lose sight of the fact that it's an illusion.
It all is.
Race ain't even real.
Exactly. And
but
it's not even.
But it's something we'll die for.
Right. And it's not even race. It's not even a concept that's like super old. It's relatively, as slaves in America, that race, because there wasn't a white. You were Irish, or you were German, or you were, you know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden everybody's white. And that was to lend a level of control. Because if everybody looked at themselves as the same, then you can't control them. You can't sit and profit off of them over and over and over again without them saying, all right, enough.
Bro, and this goes back to what you were saying before. Being slight is okay too. And we are slight right now. Humanity is slight right now.
So slight.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Because that's what we're supposed to be.
Because that's what we're supposed to be. But there does have to be voices that says we can do better.
And this oh, sorry, go ahead. I ain't in there.
No. We can do better. And we're not going to tell you to do better.
Right.
We're going to show you how to do better.
Right.
And because we got to get our shit together first.
Yeah.
Sitting back telling somebody what to do and how to do it and when to do it ain't the move.
Nope.
Because there's too much shit that we could be getting straight at our own crib.
Yeah.
Like in my own life.
Yep.
Like I know I'm slight in area A, even though I might be strong in area B.
That is right.
So rather than go criticize you for being wrong in area C, let me get A straight, which is probably the best thing for me to do.
Yep.
So that because when the person who's slight in area C sees an AB motherfucker strong, they might want to get C straight.
Yeah.
But until I get A, I mean, you know, I'll probably go down a tangent.
Yeah.
But that's the process. Yeah. We're in stage slight right now for humanity.
Hey, but the thing is, man, a couple things. I want to make sure I say these concisely. What we talked about back on on the process. When you recognize that you're in a process, then you lend a level of empathy and sympathy and grace and others in their process. So if I know I've been slight, I might not be slight right now today, but I know I've been slight. So if I see somebody being slight, I can say, man, I done been there, dog. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, bro. I can't sit here and be. But we're so quick to want to stand in judgment, man, because it lends credibility to us. Standing in judgment of somebody means that you ignore all of the shit that you've done. And you got we all do, got laundry lists of shit that we've done, but yet we still feel like we're in a place, when I say we quick to be like, you're a fucked up individual, but all the shit that we've done that nobody, say nothing about. But if we understand that the process, if I understand that I've gone through a process, that I'm going through a process, that I will continue, then I'll understand that you've done the same thing.
Yeah.
And your strawberries might not be growing right now because you fucked off, whatever. But shit, you come back, whatever. You need some help? Let me help you. My strawberries weren't growing. This is what I did. Try to go back and do this. And let me say this. The slightness of today, back to the music connection. I thought about this the other day. Back in the day, man, when it was like civil unrest and turmoil and just the fucked up slight time in this country, there was music. There was soul music that reflected it. We don't have any music that reflects truly what these times are. Like, we still, and that
you don't think so?
Me, I like popular music. Cause think about it. I mean, back in the day, Aretha Franklin, James Brown, they all had Sly, Sylvester, Sly and the Family Stone. They all had music that reflected the time, and it was It was music that was on the radio.
I think our music reflects our time. We just don't like what's being reflected.
Well, no. I mean, reflects the civil unrest of our times. Because, there's always been a level of slightness that's floating around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there was music that reflected that too. But I mean, in terms of like civil unrest and through the summer, through the, the COVID summer and all that, there was no music that reflected what was happening in this country, especially the black and brown people.
I think some of the young people were doing some things that I think I saw a video that like Lil Baby did, which I thought was dope. I didn't even think the dude could rhyme like that because he's not my cup of tea. Maybe I'm not referencing the right Baby. But it was I think it was one of them that they did. It was pretty solid. Like he was at a protest or something. That made some waves. Terrell did his thing. Which he should definitely be more.
That's Terrell.
Right. But I'm saying.
But none of it was on the radio.
No, but I think that music is a tool. And I think we might be using it for different things now. And I think just like social media is a tool, and all of these things can be used. So like if social media existed back then, music might not have been the tool. But I think that there are ways, like whatever you have at your disposal, and if we create a creator's culture and not a consumer culture, like it doesn't matter what you create, but create, because the minute you do, you'll understand how hard it is.
Right.
You'll understand how difficult it is,
right? And
you'll be more understanding of and less critical of people who are actually creating.
Well, yeah,
because everybody is creating at that moment, and now I don't just get to sit back as an observer talking about why I don't like what you don't like, because and how you did this wrong and how you did that wrong, and I am literally doing nothing but consuming.
But that goes back to what we talked about before, man. There is not understanding that creating is a process. There is not, there's a piece that's attention based. There's a piece that some people are just negative, and those negative voices tend to be the loudest because those are ones that, I don't know, that always cut through for some reason.
But they rarely create.
But they never create.
Like you got 20,000, what's the word I'm looking for? What are they called on comments? Right. Them niggas ain't creating. Because a creator ain't got time to comment.
That's right.
So, but they are the loudest.
They are the loudest voices, yeah.
And so to make sure I'm trying to connect back to what you're saying with the music. The music isn't reflecting our time because the people who are creating that kind of music are using different tools to share it.
So you're saying that looking for popular music to be a reflection of the time and the temperature in this country, not just popular, black music to be the temperature of the times that black people are experiencing in this country is a mistake. That I should look at other outlets that for that voice.
So 2 things. A, you probably have to expand your bubble.
No, I mean
just as an idea, because and I'm saying that only because like there are probably people who have created bubbles,
right,
who would not have the same thought that you have about it.
No. I'm not saying the bubble. I'm saying because I don't listen to the radio, right? I'm not one to be out here listening to whatever radio station is popular in the city. I'm saying radio is still a popular medium, still a popular, still has value. There's still a lot of kids that listen to the radio. It's still what's popular, even if you look at streaming services, Spotify's and whatever's and all of that, what's the most popular is not music that reflects the condition of the people that created it. Like black music, I guess, not popular. Like you won't go to Spotify and see the top stream, any of them being anything about the condition of black people.
But I think when I'm hearing you say that, I get the feeling that your assumption is that people need it to reflect the time. Because I think it's radio is commentary now. Like it's not being used to break music or anything like that anymore.
But they still do. But no, I'm not looking for it. I'm not looking for it to. What did you ask me? That I'm looking
the assumption is that we want the music to reflect the time.
No. I'm saying that it always has, and now it's not, and there's a reason for that, and I don't know what that reason is. So it could be that.
So when you say reflect the condition of the people, what do you feel the condition of the people is? That's not, because I feel that the condition of the people is being reflected, but it's a part of the condition of the people that's being reflected.
That is true.
I feel like you're looking for a specific piece of the condition to be reflected.
No. I'm looking for historically. There's always black music,
oppression music, or fighting.
Not necessarily revolutionary. I'm not talking about like fight the power levels. I'm talking about music, the content of music has always at some level reflected the condition of the people.
What part of the condition?
Like all of the condition. Like it's always been a swath of music that reflects what people, if you look at the 60s, 70s, even through the 80s, there was a piece of music that reflected where black people are. And I attribute it to the fact that there is no soul music anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's no more, R&B soul music. It doesn't exist.
And it's a lot of more like the entry. I think it's a couple things. And I think it's the entry, the level of entry is extremely low. The idea that there is this direct to consumer thing that where where a person can actually literally go on a computer, make a beat, post it, and get 500 million views, it will drown out anything else that consumes that. And you got thousands of kids doing. Back in the day, you had certain groups that was locking shit down. And so they were very deliberate about what they were putting out, because it wasn't that many. There were only a few people who were controlling it. Now the gates are open.
That's true, dog, and I agree. But what I'm saying is also based in the fact that the people who curate what is heard aren't the people who give a fuck about the community that it goes to. So back in the day, when you had radio was a local radio station. Like whatever your radio station was in the Midwest, K, whatever the fuck it was, that was to that local, to that city, town, area, county, whatever. There was a program director who curated music, who picked songs to break or try to break based on popularity or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times they also, because there was a certain cultural shift in the time, they picked music that identified with that, because that was what became popular.
We're slight now, bro.
But no, we were slight then. Nah, but we were still using, in the 70s, we was using heroin, we was pimping hoes, it was all the same. Ain't nothing changed. You think we're more slight now than we were then?
Money's been. I think it's the volume. I think it's the volume and the number of ways that they can enter into the public sphere.
What I'm saying.
Because even those people aren't, like, they're not good. We're so slight now. Like, they have no. They're not even incentivized to pick something good.
But here's the thing: the people who curate that aren't of the community anymore. The people who curate Spotify playlists, you think they give a fuck about what's happening to black people? The people who curate Tidal, you think they give a fuck? Even YouTube, you think they give a fuck about what's happening to black people? They do not. So they are not gonna. Now, there are a plethora of artists or creators who are creating in that vein, right? But they're not picking it. They're gonna pick what is popular and what's the easy choices, which is the bullshit. I'm not gonna say bullshit because that's the wrong attitude to take. Which is the popular music that are talking about, popular things, right? They're not gonna say, "Hey man, this kid is saying something heavy. Let me push him into this mix to see where he to see where he'll fall." They don't even try. They immediately go to, and then,
but why would they?
Record companies, the Interscopes, if they exist anymore, whatever 3 record companies are left, there's only 3 of them. Now they're pushing out artists. They're not pushing out anything that's other than the low hanging fruit.
Why would they push them? Why would Spotify's algorithm push?
It's not it's still curated.
It's a combination.
Right, exactly.
So why would they push a 24-year-old tall black guy who is listening to 50 playlists and 48 of them start with Lil or got a Baby or a Dirk or Irk or ASAP in it? Like some of it.
Don't forget Young.
Oh yeah, Young too. I mean, some of it is like we're like I mean, this is probably we should probably say this for another joint, because the reality is, and I was watching a video the other day. These algorithms have gotten so good to where they are actually debating whether or not people would even reject something good. These people, like, our experiences have been so personalized and they are so good that at giving us what we want, that there are people out there who are rejecting the premise of something different, because we've gotten so accustomed to having our preferences be personalized in a way that eliminate all of the bad stuff, or not bad stuff, the things that don't fit our algorithm. So we have to actually go out and disrupt that joint by testing new things and stuff like that. Because without it, it will assume that you just don't want it. Same with the YouTube algorithms, bro. Like, I don't get Lil Uzi Vert recommendations on my YouTube ever.
I agree, dog. But I still think that, I mean, and this has been going on for a minute, since the profitability of hip hop skyrocketed, and new media became whatever they call cutting edge, like your Complex and your Hype Beast and all of that. There's been a different curation, selection process. So they're not gonna curate and make a top whatever list. I mean, I personally think it started with the source. They're not gonna make a whatever list because of music that is reflecting or that speaks to the condition of black people or any person, the condition of the human condition, right? They're not gonna put that anywhere because the low-hanging fruit is the lils and I'm not gonna say that either, is the talking about the money and the sex, oversexed, consumerism, and fucking your girl.
And that's why and maybe I'm naive in my thought about it because I watch a lot of videos and, you know, being with these tech companies and stuff. Like the algorithms are really shifting the game, and they've
been shifting the game for a minute,
and they have to, and there are factors in there like, do you continue to give people what they want? It's like saying, okay, I know, so the average human eats 75 pounds of sugar a month, and then people wonder, a year. And then we wonder why, you know, all these other illnesses come in. Like, if they want sugar, give them sugar. And if they look for sugar,
right?
Being that we in the land of the free, let their ass get sugar.
Right.
And so if your algorithm recommends sugar because you love sugar,
right?
Even though you gonna die from diabetes.
That's all clean. But the problem is that whole thing started is when someone said, we're only gonna sell sugar. We're not gonna sell no motherfucking fruits or any of that shit. Fuck that. We're only gonna sell sugar.
We're only gonna sell sugar.
Because now, the people who sell sugar, I eat vegetables and motherfucking fruits and whatever else I want, you know what I'm saying? All the great leaf, all the good shit. I eat that shit.
But that's the
But
thing.
I'm gonna sell you sugar.
But because so that's what I'm saying. Like now,
because I think that's what you want, and that's what's gonna make me the most money.
And you do want sugar because I'm sitting over here saying I eat vegetables. So like my YouTube feeds, I'm getting vegetables, bro. I'm getting fucking Plitoplasm, electrolytes, and
because you shifted it yourself. But if you let the curator curate, you're gonna get sugar.
But so this is the conundrum. This is honestly the conundrum. All the algorithm, like it's making recommendations. I'm not saying the recommendations are right or wrong, but it's making like look at CNN, right? You got CNN and you got, I'm using these terms because these are just ones that most people give a fuck about. CNN and Fox.
Right.
A nigga can go and switch their channel to either one of them two if they want to.
Right.
But they still pick up their channel changer, bro. Yes, I called it a channel changer. People still pick up their channel changer and change it to CNN, even though Fox is on another station. So if somebody was sitting here, if they had a box on my TV tracking the stations that I watch, and they're sitting here and watching James Shelby turn to Fox every goddamn time I turn on that TV. And then when I pick up my phone They didn't clearly told me I'm watching Fox 80 hours a week, and I'm watching CNN too.
Yeah.
What should the phone algorithm prove about me? That motherfucker should be, if I'm selling me something, right? I'm not, if I was a business trying to get access to me,
right?
You're clearly telling me you're not gonna listen to me if I use a path that CNN would use, because you don't even really watch that. So let me use this path to sell you something, because all of your behavior patterns have demonstrated that this is the highest probability of me getting to you. And so if that's the highest, if that's the path that I take, that I can take, then I'm gonna take it. Especially if it's costing me to choose which path to try to reach you.
Dog, I agree. But I think there is, it could be me, because I'm paranoid, you know what I'm saying, conspiracy central. Not government conspiracy. I think that for a long time, for at least 10 years, maybe even longer, maybe 20, 15, there have been people who curate and present black people with music that because it's profitable, that are not of the culture, don't give a fuck and about the culture or the people that it affects, right? They're curating death and immoral behavior to black people, not caring that it's also being mainly curated to black children.
Yep.
12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old girls are listening to this fuckery, right? That someone is saying, oh, this new joint right here, let me go ahead and put this on the list. Oh, that shit, that Rhapsody shit, fuck that shit. Somebody is saying that. Somebody saying, oh, that little brother, man, fuck all that bullshit. But this right here, this is going on this list. Somebody who is not of the culture, who's making a decision, because if you are of the culture, then you say, hey man, that little brother is dope. And that Rhapsody shit, that shit is fire. Let me put this along with the rest of the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I like it. But they reject it because of what it represents, right? They like the fuckery because that's what they think of black people. So that's what they want their black people to do. They don't want their black people to do Little Brother and Rhapsody shit. They want their black people to be this. You know what I'm saying? And that shit has been going on for 15 years, dog. And that started the algorithm of the sugar that we loop and constantly digest, right? So now it's on autopilot. But that shit started with because when I think of Complex and, I ain't mean to say a name, but all these magazines and what that turned into websites that call themselves cutting edge black music, hip hop, all of that shit, what they put in, that shit started the Spotify shit. They determine what is hot hip hop. And they're not of the fucking, they're nerds sitting in the office somewhere who like their black people a certain way, so they're gonna put their black people music in a certain light and put that shit out there.
So forces exist that seek to do harm.
Not necessarily. No,
and exploit.
No. Let me say this. I'm not talking in the broader sense of this government trying to motherfucker exterminate black people. That's not where I am, right? I'm talking about in the narrow sense that you have a white 23-year-old kid from the suburbs of Illinois who just fell into this job at Complex, who curate music top hottest of the hot list, right? They like X rapper and X rapper and X rapper because that's how they like their black people, with the gold teeth and little pants and the talking that codeine shit. That's how all that shit became a fad. They're rejecting what they don't like, how they don't like their black people. Conscious, strong, and not accepting a fuckery from anybody, right? So that's what they push out, and that's what started the shit.
So I'm reducing their function to something that can be, that can, without minimizing what you're saying, because I'm going to bring it back there, because I'm gonna break it down so I can build it back up.
Okay.
So forces exist to do harm and to exploit people. A part of black people's responsibility, if we're going to speak about music, is to take responsibility. Stop hiding behind the, oh, this is just music. Oh, this is quote unquote female empowerment. When a motherfucker's ass is hanging out. Whatever it is. Whatever it is that has been sold to you.
Right.
That you have chosen to think is art, or whatever the case may be, without understanding all of the other ways in which you're being negatively impacted. Like, if forces exist to do harm, which exist and have always existed, then we've got to do our part to take responsibility to fuck the algorithm up. Right. And maybe TuneTheFork is an algorithm disruptor that says, we getting ready to bring some Skinshape, some Rhapsody, some whatever the case may be, because none of us are responsible for the world that we live in. Right. But we are responsible for making the changes that we're able to make.
And what we talked about before, which is planting that seed.
Which is planting the seeds and understanding that we are all a part of the process. Right. Because even the little Uzis, even the babies and all of them, they are a process too.
Right. And they have their place.
And
I'm not saying I don't like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm saying I don't like them.
Well, I think
I don't like their music.
I think they have their place, right? But you can't exclude something based on your own preconceived prejudices towards something.
Yeah, liking doesn't mean it shouldn't exist.
Exactly.
It should exist. But because it exists. But I'm just saying in terms of if we're talking about the algorithms, like because a part of it is, it's like, I remember when I used to do database work, like shit in, shit out.
Right.
Absolutely. And a lot of times more work is required to fix something, to fix a fucked up database than if you would have just put the information in there correctly in the first place.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes, like, it might require a little bit more work. It might require more effort. It might require more patience with the people who are going through their piece of the process. Right. But understanding that it is a part of it, I think, is key.
I agree.
But I think
go ahead.
we should probably use that as an opportunity to, kind of end this one and maybe pick that up for another podcast, man.
Sure.
How do you feel?
For sure. That's what I was. You read my mind, man. That's what we at the hour.
Okay.
We well beyond it, really.
I appreciate the chop, bro. I appreciate the process.
Hey, like I said, we doing this every week.
Yep.
Shit, we gonna make our own playlist. We gonna plant some seeds, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
Pause.
My fault. I apologize.